Now, this Sunday sees the series finale of Butterfly, which follows the story of 11-year-old Max, who identifies as a girl and wants to live her life as Maxine. Its portrayal of the daily difficulties trans people face has seen the show hailed as one of the most important programmes on television right now. I'm joined now by just some of the people who helped to inspire the series. 12-year-old Poppy, her mum Claire, and Susie Green from the charity Mermaids, whose 25-year-old daughter transitioned as a child. Now, Poppy, first of all, have you been watching the programme?
Yes.
And what do you think about it?
I think it's amazing and it relates to my story.
And how old were you when you transitioned, Poppy?
I was 9 years old.
So just about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was that? How were your school friends in primary school when that happened?
Well, they weren't surprised at all. They sort of just knew. But now I don't know, I think they just got...
It's who you are.
Yeah.
It's just who you are, so it's not a thing anymore.
No.
That's wonderful. And Claire, obviously you've been watching it as a family. Do you think the experiences, because it's interesting watching Maxine's mum and dad go through quite different reactions to it. Does that reflect what happened with you?
Yes, I can identify with watching that programme.
Yeah. And did you find that perhaps Poppy would do things to please her dad?
Yeah.
At first, and whereas not now. I mean, Poppy, but was that happening? Because that's reflected in the programme.
Yes, that was happening. That was happening.
Yeah.
She used to kick a football round to please Dad and things like that. Yeah.
And you don't want to do that anymore?
No.
No. So, Claire, did you find, because in the programme that's just gone out, we saw the school not possibly coping with it as well as they could have done. What about Poppy's school? Was that supportive?
School has been extremely supportive. In primary school, they brought in training before Poppy transitioned, and they held age-appropriate assemblies, and parents had a chance to ask any questions they wanted, and it was a very positive experience. There was no problem whatsoever.
And that must make a huge difference when the school is supportive.
Yeah.
And now you're in secondary school.
Yeah.
Is this your first term?
Yeah.
Oh, now, that's nerve-wracking for any child. We all remember it, don't we, when we were children. And how did secondary school cope? What happened? What's happened so far?
Well, they had a big assembly about it, telling all of my year about me and, like, teaching...
Did you talk in that assembly?
No, I was sitting in my form room with my friend, and they just explained to them what transgender is. And, yeah, and some people had questions, but apart from that, everybody was fine with it. They treated me like any other girl would.
Yeah. And when people have questions, do you consider that's fair enough? Because, you know, for some people, it's the first time they'll have come across it, won't they?
Yeah, everyone has questions, because you're not likely to know what it means straight away.
Yeah.
So it's OK to ask.
Now, Susie, you run Mermaids,
yes,
which actually features in the series, and your own life has helped to inspire all of this, and obviously Mermaids. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background and your daughter's background?
So Jackie was my first child, and I thought I had a very sensitive little boy who was probably gay from the sort of things that she did when she was younger and her preferences and who she wanted to play with. But when she was 4 years old, we were sat watching television. I was pregnant with my second child, and she told me that she had something to tell me, and she told me that God had made a mistake and she should have been a girl. And I spent the next 2 years telling her that it was fine to be a boy and like girl things, but that she was a boy, and that wasn't true. But she just kept saying to me, no, I'm a girl, I'm a girl. And she became quite isolated and quite lonely in school, I think, as she started to recognise the fact that, you know, nobody else felt the way that she did. And when she was 6, she asked me when she could have the operation, and that's when I reached out, really, and that's when I found Mermaids and made probably one of the most pivotal calls ever I would make in my life, to phone up the helpline and speak to somebody, and cried throughout the conversation, but it was such a relief to talk to somebody else who knew what I was going through as a parent, and it helped me then to support Jackie better. You know, parents who support their kids have been depicted as, what is it, quinoa-eating snowflakes who are, you know, pushing an agenda on their children. The reality is very, very different. And, you know, it fractures families. And the truth of the depiction of the Duffys and is resonates with so many families, because it is a really, really tough thing to deal with.
Absolutely. We'll give our best to Jackie.
Thank you.
Say hello to her. And we wish you all the best, Claire, and your family. But most of all, you, Poppy. I just want to say one thing. Make sure you keep doing your maths homework, because that's very, very important in secondary school. You do that. And I hope you've had a lovely morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, and all the best back to Malvern.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.